Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Chinese ebook before it's gone.
Hi, welcome to Introduction to Chinese. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Ray. In this series, you will learn everything you need to know to get started learning Chinese.
That's right, and we're here to help guide you on your journey. In this lesson, you'll learn the reasons why you should start learning Chinese and how to get started. Chinese is a super language with many dialects. Cantonese, for instance, is a dialect of Chinese. In mainland China, in order for people speaking different dialects to understand and communicate with each other, a standard and official language was created based on Beijing dialect. It's called Mandarin Chinese.
普通话. This literally means the common dialect.
Mandarin Chinese is so widely spoken that it's not only in China. Other countries like Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia use Mandarin as an everyday language as well. Statistics show that more than 14% of the world population are native Mandarin speakers, which makes Mandarin the most spoken native language in the world.
Being able to speak Mandarin Chinese means you will be able to communicate with 1/6 of the people on this planet.
Which you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. Who knows? One of them could be your future husband or wife. Besides the large Chinese-speaking population, China is also one of the oldest civilizations in the world, with over 5,000 years of rich history. Did you know that the Terracotta Army, which is a collection of terracotta sculptures, was built in 209 BCE?
They were buried upon the death of the first emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang, in order to protect him in his afterlife. Today, you can visit them in Xi'an province of China. Being able to speak Chinese will definitely help you understand the story behind this magnificent world heritage.
Chinese culture has had a huge influence on cultures throughout Asia. In terms of language, Chinese language shaped many other languages, similar to the way Latin shaped the languages of Europe. Chinese characters have been introduced to most of the Asian languages, such as Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese, and Thai. Even today, kanji, or Chinese characters, is still part of the Japanese writing system.
By learning Chinese, you will be able to understand and appreciate different aspects of ancient Chinese and Asian cultures, such as calligraphy, paintings, poetry, music, and architecture. This makes touring around Asia all the easier.
Last but not least, China is the second largest economy in the world. Since China opened its doors to the West in the late 70s, the Chinese government has been working on bringing foreign investment and economic cooperation to the country. This creates many employment opportunities for foreigners to work in China.
China is also one of the fastest growing nations as well. The future of China is promising. That's why many companies now do business with China, and why many movies set in the future show China as a superpower and global influencer.
Learning Chinese will allow you to have a leg up on the future. This can mean big things for your career and might help you land your dream job.
Even if you don't work and live in China, being able to speak Chinese will give you an edge when competing for employment opportunities in your own country.
Chinese is often called one of the most difficult languages in the world. It is certainly a challenge.
But it's not as difficult as you might think.
Chinese grammar is actually pretty easy. It has the same sentence order as English. Plus, there are no noun plural forms and verb tenses to memorize.
Even the four tones are not that difficult. Pay attention when native speakers are talking and mimic their pronunciation. You will definitely get the hang of it.
Plus, many Chinese people, especially the younger Chinese, speak some English. They're always so eager to help you. You'll find a lot of teachers once you let people know you're studying Chinese.
Most importantly, we're here to offer you any help you might need while learning Chinese. Let's get started by looking at a couple of common Chinese phrases.
To express your gratitude, you say,
谢谢,谢谢.
You can use this phrase in any occasion and under any circumstances. To make your gratitude more heartfelt, you can add
你, which means you. 谢谢你.
It makes your thank you sound more personal and polite. So to say thanks or thank you, you can say
谢谢 or 谢谢你.
Let's look at another well-known phrase.
我爱你.
Do you know what that means?
我 means I, 爱 means love. 你 means you. So, 我爱你 means I love you.
Exactly the same order as in English. If the Chinese characters or
汉字
look daunting, don't worry. There's a romanization system for all the Chinese characters in Mandarin called pinyin.
With the help of pinyin, you should be able to pronounce any Chinese words you see, no problem.
We'll get into that in a later episode of this series. Well done! Now you know how to say thank you
谢谢 or 谢谢你
in Chinese. We've covered a lot of things already, so why don't we wrap up the first lesson and recap on what we've learned? In this lesson, you learned that studying another language has many benefits, such as providing new job and business opportunities. China has a colorful history with many things for you to see and learn. And to say thank you in Chinese, it's
谢谢
In the next lesson, we're going to demystify Chinese pronunciation by taking a look at the sounds and tones of Chinese, so be sure to watch the next video. See you in the next lesson. Bye!
Bye.
Hi, welcome to Introduction to Chinese. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Ray.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Chinese pronunciation. We'll give you a brief introduction to the Chinese romanization system, demonstrate a few difficult sounds, and then talk about tones in Chinese pronunciation. Pinyin is a system that represents Mandarin Chinese by using the Roman alphabet. It's now the most common way to Romanize Mandarin Chinese. It's the foundation for Chinese pronunciation. Learning Pinyin will benefit you in many ways. It shows you the proper way to pronounce a word. It also allows you to pronounce a word you've never seen. And if you'd like to type in Chinese on your phone or computer, Pinyin input is the easiest and most popular way.
A complete syllable in pinyin is usually made of initials, which are consonants, and finals, which are vowels, and lastly, a tone mark. Sometimes, though, a vowel by itself can make a syllable too.
There are 20 consonant letters in Mandarin or Pinyin, almost all the same consonant letters as in English except for the letter V.
B, P, M, F, D, T, N, L, G, K, H, and so on.
And there are combinations of consonants that are initial sounds as well. But don't worry, there are only 3 of these.
Zh, sh, sh.
And then we have vowels. There are 6 single vowels in Mandarin Chinese.
A, O, I, U, U.
By combining these single vowels with each other, or by combining them with N, NG, or R, we can make many compound vowels, such as
Ya, O, A, Y, An, Yun, Ang, Yan, Wan, Yang.
It may look like a lot to remember. The trick is to memorize the ones that sound different from English or your native language. This will be emphasized in the next part of the lesson, so stick around. Some sounds in Chinese don't sound like their Roman letters. We'll show you how they're pronounced in Chinese. First, let's look at some single vowel sounds.
Sounds like the U in the English but only longer. Remember not to curl your tongue when there is no R around. Ch, H. The only exception is when it comes after Y. Then it sounds more like E, as in red. Yeah. The E sound is like the double E in the English C. I, Xi. When it comes after A, C, Ch, R, S, Sh, or Zh sound, it's more like a short E sound, as in lip. 知识, 40. The U sound is like the French U. Your lips should be round and pouting. 绿, 女. U and U are different sounds, but when U comes after G, Qi, Xi, I, it makes the same sound as U. 橘子, 去, 玉米.
Now let's look at some compound vowel sounds. For all the compound sounds, you just need to make the first single vowel sound and then slide into the next single vowel. For example,
the yue sound. Try to make the yu sound, then slide to e, yue, xue. To make the one sound, combine u with an, suan, yuan quan. Yen sounds like the word yen, the Japanese currency, xian, qian.
Consonants are pretty easy in Chinese. Just pay attention to the next couple of sounds.
G is like the J in Jeep, but press your flat tongue tightly against the back of your upper teeth. 姐姐, 家人. Chi is like the CH in cheap, but again with a flatter tongue and a stronger puff of breath. 请, 气球. She is like the SH in sheep. Again, you lay your tongue flatter and extend the two sides of your mouth wider. 小, 新鲜.
Now you know all the sounds in pinyin, a total of over 400 sounds. What an accomplishment! Congratulations! Now let's move on to another important but also challenging part in Chinese pronunciation, tones. Every syllable in Chinese pronunciation is stressed with one of the 4 different tones. The first tone is steady with a high pitch.
A,
The second tone starts with a middle pitch, then rises quickly.
A,
The third tone goes down from a low pitch, then rises to the middle of the pitch range.
A,
The fourth tone falls sharply and quickly from a high pitch.
A.
Besides the 4 stressed tones, there's a neutral tone. This is very light, weak, and short. Pay attention to the second syllables of the next examples.
爸爸, 椅子, 好吗?
Let's recap what we've learned by breaking down a word in pinyin. The pronunciation for the famous city Shanghai is
上海,
the first syllable here is made of an initial
诗,
and a final
昂,
and a fourth falling tone.
上,
The second syllable is made of an initial
呵,
and a final
爱,
and a third falling then rising tone.
海, 上海.
Well done! Let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned. In this lesson, we introduced you to pinyin, the romanization method to help you get started learning Chinese. We also covered some of the unique and difficult sounds of Chinese and introduced you to the 4 tones in Chinese. We've covered only the basics of Chinese pronunciation. If you're interested in learning more, check out the entire course we created named The Ultimate Guide to Chinese Pronunciation. In that course, we cover and break down every single sound in the Chinese language, showing you mouth and tongue positioning and giving you tips to help you perfect your Chinese pronunciation. In the next lesson, we'll introduce you to the basics of Chinese grammar, where you'll learn about Chinese word order and how to build basic phrases in Chinese. See you in the next lesson. Bye!
Bye.
Hi! Welcome to Introduction to Chinese. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Ray.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Chinese grammar. Word order refers to the order in which words are structured to form a sentence in a given language. The basic word order for English is subject, verb, object, or SVO for short. Let's break down the English sentence, I ate an apple. We can see that the subject I is presented first, followed by the verb ate, and then finally the object apple is positioned last. This is the basic word order for sentences in English.
Now let's compare that same sentence. I ate an apple in Chinese. 我吃了一个苹果. If we break down this sentence, we will have 我, I, which is a subject, 吃了, which means ate or have eaten, a verb. Next, the object, 一个苹果, an apple. So the order is subject plus verb plus object, or SVO for short.
This is exactly the same order as in English. Let's try another basic sentence. I like Chinese.
I is 我, like is 喜欢, Chinese is 中文, So we put the subject first, then the verb, and then the object. Altogether, we have 我喜欢中文.
Now you know the word order in Chinese. Let's try to add more components to basic words to make longer sentences. Adding a time phrase in Chinese sentences is a little different than in English. In English, we put the when phrase in the last part of the sentence. For example, I eat an apple every day.
In Chinese, we put the time phrase after the subject. So we need to put every day after I. So we have 我, I, 每天, every day, 吃, eat, 一个苹果, an apple. Subject plus time phrase plus verb plus objects. 我每天吃一个苹果. 我的姐姐明天去美国. 我的 my 姐姐 older sister 明天 tomorrow 去 go to 美国 the United States.
My older sister is going to the US tomorrow.
我的姐姐明天去美国.
To add places, put them after the time phrases. For example, I eat an apple every day at home. In Chinese, that's
我每天在家吃一个苹果. 在家 means at home. So it's I every day at home eat an apple. 我每天在家吃一个苹果.
Let's try another one. I was born in the US in 1990. Remember, subject, time, place, and then verb.
我1990年在美国出生. 我1990年在美国出生.
To form negative sentences, there are two ways for two circumstances.
You can use 不 or 没有. We use 不 in present tense sentences, or when you don't want to do something. 我不喜欢中文. I don't like Chinese. 我不去. I'm not going. 我不吃. I don't want to eat. We use 没有 in past tense, meaning didn't or haven't done something. 我没有吃苹果. I didn't eat the apple. 我的姐姐昨天没有去美国. My older sister didn't go to the US yesterday.
To form yes or no questions in Chinese, it can't be easier.
Just add a question marker, 么, at the end of a statement. You like Chinese is 你喜欢中文. To make it do you like Chinese, we simply put 么 at the end. 你喜欢中文吗? Let's make 你每天在家吃一个苹果 a yes or no question. 你每天在家吃一个苹果吗?
Now you know how to ask questions with a yes or no answer. But how do you ask questions using question words, such as what, when, where, how, why, and which?
Let's put the above questions words into two groups. We put what, which, and where after the verb. It's like replacing the object with a question word.
For example, what do you like?
你喜欢什么? 你 you 喜欢 like 什么 what.
Which one do you like?
你喜欢哪个? 你 you 喜欢 like 哪个 which one.
Where do you like?
你喜欢哪里? 你 you 喜欢 like 哪里 where.
And for the rest of the question words, we put them before the verb, so it's subject, question word, verb, object. In some cases, you can omit the object to make the sentence concise. When are you going?
你什么时候去? 你 you 什么时候 when 去 go.
Why are you going to the US?
你为什么去美国? 你 you 为什么 why 去 go to 美国 the United States.
How are you going to go?
你怎么去? 你 you 怎么 how 去 go.
If we have a sentence with both a time phrase and a question word, which should go first? Just remember, question words are always stuck with verbs. So in this case, it would be subject, time phrase, question word, then verb.
你明天怎么去？你 you 明天 tomorrow 怎么 how 去 go how are you going to go tomorrow?
Basically, questions have the same order as SVO statements. Just remember to stick the right question words in the right places. And don't forget the question mark. Well done! Let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned. In this lesson, you learned that Chinese uses the exact same SVO word order as English. From this, you learned how to form affirmative and negative sentences. And finally, you learned how to convert an affirmative sentence into a question. We've covered only the very basics of Chinese grammar. If you're interested in learning more, check out our Chinese in 3 Minutes video series. In that course, we teach you useful phrases while covering the fundamentals of Chinese grammar, and each lesson is only 3 minutes long. In the next lesson, we're going to introduce you to Chinese writing. See you in the next lesson. Bye!
Bye.
Welcome to Introduction to Chinese. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Ray.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Chinese writing. Unlike English, which is an alphabetic language, Chinese is written with characters. These represent both sound and meaning.
Each 汉字 has one syllable. One or more syllables make up a word. So in Chinese, a word can be made up of one or more 汉字. For example, the word 汉字 is made of 2 syllables. The first one, Han, means Chinese, or the Han people, which is a majority ethnic group in China. The second syllable, 字, means word. So Han and 字 together means Chinese characters.
Although there are more than 50,000 characters in Chinese, you only need to know 2,000 to 3,000 to be considered literate.
Still, memorizing 3,000 Chinese characters sounds like a huge challenge, but it's actually easier than you may think. All Chinese characters are made up of smaller components that are used over and over again in other characters. This means that by learning just one component, you can effectively learn multiple characters at the same time. Let's look at this aspect in more detail.
Most Chinese characters are pictophonetic. They consist of a radical and a phonetic element. These are the technical terms for the components we just talked about. The radical often suggests the meaning of a character. The phonetic part indicates the original pronunciation, which may or may not be the modern pronunciation.
For example, let's look at the character fan, rice or meal. Its radical is, which indicates that this word is related to food or eating. The second part, fan, is a phonetic element. It suggests that its pronunciation is close to the pronunciation of the character fan, meaning opposite.
To be able to recognize and write Chinese characters, you should know the basic radicals. Now we'll give you a few of the most commonly used radicals.
人 or its variation means man or person. It's present in words like 你, you, 他, he, 众, the masses. 女 meaning woman. It's in words like 妈, mom, 姐, older sister, 姑娘, girl. 心 or its variation means heart, 想, to think, 意, to recall. 手 or its variation means hand. It usually appears when the word describes an action using hands, such as 打, to hit, 拉, to pull, 推, to push, 拿, to grab. 口 means mouth. Characters with this radical often involve using your mouth, such as 吃, to eat, 唱, to sing, 吞, to swallow. 目 means eye, 看, to look or see, 睡, to sleep. 言 or its variation means speech. 说 to speak or say, 请 please or to invite, 谢 to thank. 水 or its variation means water, 海 ocean, 河 river, 洗 to wash. 火 or its variation means fire. For example, 烧 to burn, 灯 light, 热 hot. 衣 or its variation means clothing, 衬衫 shirt, 袋子 bag.
Most radicals are at the left or bottom of a character. By identifying radicals, it should be much easier to decode the meaning of new characters. For the phonetic elements, it takes time and effort to memorize their pronunciations. The more you study them, the easier it will be. When writing in Chinese, it's important to know the order of strokes. Knowing the number of strokes is also important when you look up a word in a radical-based dictionary. Some characters can have many strokes, and they can get very complex. If they're not written in the correct order, some characters may even be unreadable. So learning the proper stroke order is quite important. Remember, write from left to right.
川 river, 人 person,
From top to bottom.
三 three,
Horizontal, then vertical.
十 ten, 土 soil,
Outside, then inside.
月 moon, 用 to use,
Inside, then close.
回 to return, 田 farmland,
The middle, then the sides.
小 small, 水 water.
Okay, let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned.
In this lesson, we introduced you to the basics of Chinese characters. You also learned that Chinese characters are comprised of radicals. Finally, you learned some of the most common stroke patterns when writing Hanzi.
In the next lesson, you'll be entering Chinese boot camp, where you'll learn useful beginner phrases to get you speaking Chinese right away. We'll see you in the next lesson. Bye!
Bye!
Hi! Welcome to Introduction to Chinese. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi, everyone. I'm Ray.
In this lesson, we'll focus on teaching you the most useful Chinese words and phrases for absolute beginners.
Make sure you are repeating the words out loud after me.
Are you ready? Let's get started. The best phrase to learn when studying a new language is one that expresses gratitude and appreciation. If you had to learn only a single phrase, this would be it.
We taught you this phrase in the first lesson of this series. Do you remember what it was? 谢谢. It means thank you. 谢谢.
Keep repeating after Ray until you get it.
谢谢.
Your turn.
谢谢. 谢谢.
In Lesson 2, we mentioned the pronunciation of the consonant.
She, it sounds like the SH in English, only with flatter lips.
Then we have the compound vowels.
Yeah.
The tone in the first syllable is the fourth falling tone,
谢.
and the second syllable is the neutral tone.
谢.
Altogether,
谢谢. You can see the radical in this character 谢 is.
this indicates that the meaning of this character has something to do with speech. The next phrase we'll teach you is perhaps the second most useful phrase of all. It's to apologize or to excuse yourself.
对不起, which means I'm sorry.
This is a formal way to apologize for when you did something wrong. Repeat after Ray.
对不起，对不起。
But if you want to interrupt someone and ask a question, we don't often use this phrase. Instead, we use
请问
before a question.
It literally means, may I please ask? 请问
If you want to get the waiter or waitress's attention, in English, you might say, excuse me. But in Chinese, you just need to raise your hand and your voice and say,
服务员
which means waiter or waitress.
服务员
Don't worry, it won't sound rude. Everyone in China does it. It's the most common way to get a waiter's attention in China. Now you can say, thank you very much, excuse me, and I'm sorry in Chinese. Let's move on. Asking where something is an incredibly important and useful phrase to learn. You're going to need this when asking where the bathroom, the train station, or where the hotel is.
在哪里在 means at 哪里 means where. So the pattern is something or location plus 在哪里.
For example, if you want to ask, where is the bathroom?
洗手间在哪里
Or for the subway station, you say,
地铁站在哪里
to sound more polite, you can add, may I please ask, before the sentence. We mentioned this phrase earlier in this lesson.
请问洗手间在哪里请问地铁站在哪里
So altogether, the polite way to ask where something is,
请问在哪里
if you know the person you're talking to well, you can simply say,
在哪里
your turn.
在哪里请问在哪里
Okay, now let's teach you some vocabulary to use in the sentence. Here are some of the most common words you'll need to learn.
洗手间
Bathroom,
洗手间洗手间在哪里
next we have
地铁站
subway station,
地铁站地铁站在哪里
next
超市
supermarket or convenience store,
超市超市在哪里
next
我的座位
my seat,
我的座位我的座位在哪里
You can ask where anything is simply by saying the place or location and
在哪里
to ask where something is in Chinese. In this final lesson, you learned how to say thank you, excuse me, I'm sorry, and to ask where something is in Chinese. And in this series, we introduce you to the basics of Chinese pronunciation, grammar, writing, and more. Let's conclude with some parting advice from Ray and listen to some of her tips on how to learn Chinese from a native Chinese perspective.
The best way to learn Chinese, particularly if you want to improve your communication skills, is to watch and study contemporary Chinese videos. That's because we often use expressions in daily conversation that aren't necessarily introduced in grammar textbooks. Even though Mandarin is a common language in China, men and women, elderly people and children have their own ways of speaking. This means they have their own vocabulary and tones. For example, women use n at the end of their statements a lot with the purpose of softening their tones. But if men use that, they will sound very feminine. Make sure you mimic the right person. Watching contemporary videos, such as our videos here at Chinese Class 101, will ensure that you are learning real, applicable Chinese in the fastest and most effective way.
You've reached the end of this course, Introduction to Chinese, but it's only the beginning of your journey to Chinese fluency. Where do you go from here? Try our Ultimate Guide to Chinese Pronunciation series, where we teach you all the sounds of the Chinese language. Or check out any of our other video series. We have many different categories for you to choose from. Good luck as you continue learning Chinese, and we'll see you in another video. Bye!
Bye!
Want to speed up your language learning? Take your very first lesson with us. You'll start speaking in minutes and master real conversations. Sign up for your free lifetime account. Just click the link in the description.